So it looks like people are starting to Google the word tariff. Unfortunately, that is coming weeks after the election. And in but 2 months, people are going to understand what tariffs actually are. And guess what? Mexico and Canada are not the ones that are going to be flipping the bill. But alas, we tried to warn you, and now we're all a part of the find out part of the fuck around. Welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show. Let's get started. Oh, dear friends. Education is important. And what I realize is what is common sense and common knowledge to some of us is like, brand new information to other people. So it seems now that a couple of weeks post the election, that Americans are starting to Google what tariffs actually are and what that means, because much in the way that Donald Trump had told people that Mexico was going to pay for the wall back in 2016 and 2017, he kept throwing this word around, tariffs. And we have to understand that our public education system in this country is woefully undereducating most people, and they barely have a sense of what is happening in their home economics, let alone what is happening with global economics. But now, post election, where we just learned that this Thanksgiving meal that we're all about to have in 2 days is the cheapest meal and will probably be the last time said meal is cheap. Um, Now all of a sudden, everybody's like, what is that thing that Donald Trump was talking about? And here it is. So, dum dum, Donald Trump has been on one recently, just, truthing away as he prepares to take power back in January. And this is what Donald Trump says. He says, as everyone is aware, which everyone is not aware, thousands of people are pouring through Mexico and Canada. Have you seen any of them? I have not. Bringing crime and drugs. Capital C and capital D. Don't understand why they're there. At levels never seen before. Blah, 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 blah. Lie, lie, lie. And then he gets to the interesting part where he says, on January 20th, as of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States. And it's ridiculous open borders. This tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl, and all illegal aliens stop this invasion of our country. And then you can see up top that the response to this was, holy fuck, they are going to try to trash the economy from day one. All you MAGAs crying about inflation, I hope you choke on your $15 head of lettuce. Now, here's the thing. We're all going to be choking on that $15 head of lettuce, because folks are going to start to understand just how many things come from Canada and come from Mexico. And the president of Mexico, a woman, because apparently everyone else can managed to elect a woman except for the United States, said, okay, I'll do you one better. You want to put tariffs on our stuff? I'm going to put tariffs on your stuff. So basically, we're going to enter into a absolute economic meltdown that is going to probably make the recession from the early 2000s seem like child's play. Because right now, our economy, envy of the world as it rebounded from COVID. Our economy doing really well, so much so, Thanksgiving is the cheapest it's been since 2021. All of those things are going to go away. We are going to walk into the grocery stores and watch as our bills go all the way through the roof. And now you know that places, right, like Walmart and others have already begun to anticipate Donald Trump's tariffs. And so what are they doing? They're already firing people and setting higher prices so that they make sure that their CEOs and their shareholders make their fair share. Fair. While it is going to be regular American people, namely the middle and working class and lower class American people, who are going to pay the brunt of the cost of these quote unquote tariffs. And all of a sudden, you will absolutely hear from the complaints of MAGA, what happened to this economy? It must be Democrats. No, it's the same cycle that we always see. That when Republicans get in charge of this country, they tank our economy, which then at some point somebody will have to dig out. But in this cycle, I don't think another president is going to be coming in anytime soon. So, I mean, I guess the upside of breadlines is that you meet people. I have no idea. But that's where we are. So much so that even a MAGA friendly CNBC host, Joe Kernan, was interviewing. I have no idea why Kevin McCarthy is back on television and why anybody is talking to him. But nonetheless, Kevin McCarthy was on CNBC. I guess he's trying to get back into Donald Trump's good graces. And the host here was just like, I'm confused because the economy is doing well right now. And Donald Trump is talking about tariffs on day one. And don't a lot of things, he says, quote, have to go right for us not to reignite inflation? And then in the response, you hear a lot of from Kevin McCarthy saying, well, Donald Trump is going to be doing X, Y, and have you listened to what he said? There's an invasion. And no, we've heard everything that Donald Trump has said. And the fact is that I go outside in New York City every day. I see no invasion. I don't know what he's talking about, but it is this made up invasion that is going to allow for him to turn our country basically into Russia, and where prices balloon, where gas is going to balloon, where groceries are going to balloon, where your next Amazon order, if you still use Amazon and the other, are going to balloon, right? And what is going to happen? People are going to be holding on to their money more, spending less, right? And all of this is going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy of what Donald Trump campaigned on, which is this terrible U.S. economy. No, the U.S. economy is great in comparison to everybody else, but Donald Trump will make sure that it absolutely tanks. And then when people now are holding on to their money, and he cuts taxes for the uber rich, and housing prices skyrocket, and corporations begin to take over neighborhoods. I mean, you get the point, dear friends. But evidently, MAGA didn't get the point. And the people that either stayed home or decided to vote for Donald Trump didn't get the point, but they gonna get it soon, right? They're gonna get it soon. So, yeah, this point made by my friend and colleague, Dean Obadala, couldn't be more accurate. Come January 20th, 2025, the United States will no longer have a president. And, for so long, people like Dean and I have been called hyperbolic, have been said to be nothing more than fear mongers. And I have had people in my comment section, on my pages, on X and other social media platforms lamenting that fact that I don't know what I'm talking about. And here is the thing. What did Donald Trump say that he was going to be on day one? A dictator. Who gave him immunity? The Supreme Court of the United States, his Supreme Court. Who gave him absolutely everything that he wanted and needed when he was president the first time? Senate Republicans. So Donald Trump hasn't lied about the things that he is going to do. He hasn't lied about the austerity measures that are coming our way, that are self-imposed, because again, nothing is wrong with our economy. He is inheriting an economy that he could take, into greater heights. But that's not his desire, because you see, if the American people are in a place of suffering, then the oligarchs are able to rape and pillage the country in the way that they want. And then they will leave us with the crumbs, fighting over the scraps that they leave behind. Folks, this is the setup of all fucking setups. And it's like, I feel like I have been screaming into a void for nearly a decade, trying to avoid this very moment from happening. And yet, here we are. And there are people that are busy doing the finger pointing. Oh my God, do you all know who I saw being interviewed yet again? James Carville. Will you leave that man alone? He is 180 years old. I don't want James Carville's perspective on 21st century America. I want him to go away. But again, as America finds itself entering this new world order, where we are no longer, right, the arbiters of democracy, you still have Democrats going and reaching back behind them for 20th century leaders to combat our 21st century problems. And I'm like, if we are looking to James Carville, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Rahm Emanuel, who is the only one that is not an octogenarian in that little triplet, we are going to continue to lose. You cannot continue to pull from those people who had their heyday in the 90s and the early 2000s to then look at this current situation that our country finds itself in and think that we are going to find our way out. This is why I said earlier, late last week, when Waja Ahat and I were doing Democracy-ish on Friday, and we said we need a new crop of leaders. And I'm looking to the AOCs, to the Jasmine Crockett's, to the Summerlees. I'm looking to the people who understand who this Republican Party is, and they are not trying to be friends with them. They are not trying to link arms with people that literally have put targets on all of their backs. And so we are going to figure out, folks, what it means seriously, because this is serious shit. What it means to live inside of a country that has not just backslid out of democracy, but has dived headfirst in a slip and slide into autocracy. And what that looks like, and how we respond to that. Because in all honesty, right now, it is okay that we remain in this kind of disorientation and daze of trying to figure out, not, to me, it's not even about what went wrong, right? It's about what do we do now? I continue to say that Democrats do such a great job of pointing fingers at each other and trying to concoct plans without any deep reflection. And I say that now, in the next 2 months that we have left of our democracy, it's for us to really reflect on who America is going to be and what our individual resistance is going to look like moving forward. Because the resistance can't look like what it has looked like in the past. Because Donald Trump is not going to allow for there to be marches and protests. And also, we need new tactics. We need to find new ways to establish real, genuine communication with each other, because the algorithms have set us up so that we remain at deep, deep odds with each other and believe that the echo chamber that MAGA has created is actually louder than it is. I continue to tell people who want to talk about Democrats and the overwhelming loss is that this is the smallest margin that a president has won in modern history. It is because people stayed home and because other groups peeled Donald Trump and MAGA were able to peel off just enough people. So the question isn't about what did Kamala Harris and Tim Walz do wrong, because in my mind, they didn't do anything wrong. They could have done some things better, but in 107 days, friends, are we really serious? That we think that this was just some unbelievable mess up on their part? Or was it that establishment Democrats from the jump of the Biden administration had a failure of imagination to put together the plans and the infrastructure over the last 4 years? And frankly, from the moment that Donald Trump became president, Democrats needed to go into a room, rip up their old playbook, sit down, and figure out how they move forward in this new world where truth doesn't exist. Folks don't believe in science, right? Like, this is not the same America from the 1990s, from the early 2000s. So you can't use old school tactics here and think that you're going to have success. And we can't continue wasting precious time finger pointing instead of figuring out who's got next and what do we need to do in this time. Because winter, right? Winter is about hibernation. Winter is about gaining strength and energy. Winter is about resting so that when spring arrives, right, we're ready. That, to me, is what needs to be happening right now. Is one, going through the grieving process. Two, thinking about what does our resistance look like. And three, operationalizing as we head into warmer months. But, and this is why I keep saying, this Democratic Party, not built for this moment. And this is where, for the first time in my professional life, I am genuinely saying we need a multi-party system. And no, I don't mean Jill Stein. And no, I don't mean her Green Party or Working Families or whatever. I mean something a bit more robust, a bit more clear-eyed, a bit more innovative and creative that can meet this moment. And that looks like developing that over time. Not that it pops up like we're in fucking whack-a-mole. Speaking of whack-a-mole and things popping back up, a little levity. Rudy Giuliani, poor thing. It is funny to me that Rudy Giuliani is the only person in Trump's orbit who is actually experiencing any type of accountability. And so it's important for us to revel in that. So Rudy Giuliani says that I don't have a car. I don't have a credit card. I don't have cash. I don't have a penny. They have put stop orders on my Social Security account. Also, he don't have a house, right? They took his little rings away, right? He's got nothing. And that is what happens when you align yourself with Donald Trump, when you do his bidding. And guess what? You do it for a person that shows absolutely no loyalty to you whatsoever. If I were Rudy Giuliani, I would say, hi, Donald, do you have any room at the inn? Is there any space that, for me and all our documents and secrets in your storage closet? Can I stay there? I don't understand how you give your life and livelihood, your legacy, to a man that has proven time and time again that he will literally push you to the side, throw you under a bus as soon as you no longer serve him. You know who? Oh my God, y'all. I interviewed a doctor that I've had on my podcast, Woke AF, Dr. Rob Davidson. And you know what he reminded me today in our interview? He's like, I mean, does anybody remember Herman Cain? Donald Trump killed that man, right? Donald Trump was holding massive rallies and events during COVID. Herman Cain literally gave up his life because he went to one of Donald Trump's rallies, caught COVID, and fucking died. Do they even mention Herman Cain? Ever? So again, you're in Donald Trump's orbit, and these people genuinely believe it won't happen to me. And yet, it happens over and over and over again. Donald Trump even recently said about Elon Musk, Elon will be around for as long as I like him. Right? And I'm like, and there's already rumblings that Elon Musk is getting a little too big for his britches and a little too much play, and nobody can outshine the boss. That's the first rule of being in the mob. Right? Everything is in service to the boss. So I think it would be really funny, right? If Donald Trump is like to Elon Musk, oh, I don't mess with you anymore. But I'm like, how can you do that to your sugar daddy? Then what happens to you? Because literally you've put yourself in a situation where you need Elon more than Elon actually needs you. He can buy his way out of everything because he actually is a multi-billionaire. Donald Trump is a fake one. So I just, let me put it up again. I just see this picture of Rudy Giuliani and I'm like, this man Herman Cain, they are cautionary tales. And yet, what is a cautionary tale to people that ban books? I don't know. But some days I need a laugh, and Rudy Giuliani will be that person that I look to, because for the love of God, what a dummy. Mm. So up next, um, a really important point that Mehdi Hassan made today that I thought was worth discussing. And he wrote this: when the owner of this website, talking about Elon Musk, when the owner of this website, the richest man in the world, the most followed man on Twitter, constantly, daily, hourly, posts again and again to tens of millions of followers that the media lies, that the media can't be trusted, that all media is corrupt and dishonest. You don't think that has a massive effect, not just on trust and polarization in society, but on election outcomes and political messaging, especially when it comes after years of Donald Trump doing the exact same thing? If Dems and liberals in general don't understand the way in which Musk, Trump, and company have cynically created an unpenetrable bubble around their followers, primed them against a reality-based universe, preemptively undermined any negative stories about themselves, then Dems and liberals will never be able to win in terms of narratives or elections. It's key to everything. It's at the heart of everything. And I tell you that here is where I go back to my earlier statement about reflection. The narrative that had been created over the last 9 years, the seeds that Donald Trump had been planting, right? About distrust, about anger, the fact that he not only questioned the media, but the fact that he questioned science, that he questioned reality, that he created over the last decade an entirely alternate universe where down is up and up is down. And instead of Democrats really interrogating how people are moved, right? How humans work. This is social sciences. This is deep study of humanity. This is what Ruth Ben-Ghiat, right, who is an authority on autocrats, has said. Democrats have missed the boat on this. You have an entire ecosystem and echo chamber that was invested in with billions of dollars of both Elon Musk's own money, as well as, we know, Russia, who was pouring money into MAGA creators on TikTok, on YouTube, and in other spaces, because they understand messaging. They understand the importance of storytelling. They understand the importance of consistent repetition and building an ecosystem that allows people to feel comfortable with having their own views reflected back at them. Meanwhile, outside of that ecosystem that they so deftly built, Democrats are outside on the window, knocking, holding up a fucking infographic, wanting to deliver facts to you inside of this warm cocoon of lies that have been built. Yes, it is absolutely a propaganda hate machine where they invested in independent media, corporate media, right? All of the different ways in which they could create their narrative over and over and over again. And so here we find ourselves where Democrats have not done the same. Where would you look for that Democratic, quote unquote, liberal ecosystem? And before you say MSNBC, let me tell you that a majority of those hosts are Republicans or former Republicans. They never actually believed in progressive ideals. It's not as if the people who are the hosts over there are representative or look like the American population. Let me tell you something. The people of color that you see on MSNBC outside of Joy Reid, Jonathan Capehart, aren't paid, right? They are just black faces sprinkled in white spaces. Because when you look, again, the reason why people have turned off MSNBC and CNN is because they've been lied to. They thought, right, that they could rely on them to tell them the truth because they're like, well, we know that Fox lies. But Fox has the highest ratings. Why? Because they give the people what they want. And I'm not saying to create an infrastructure built on lies, but I'm telling you to recognize what it is that the people want: truth, honesty, integrity. Stop the sane washing and the bullshit, and then watch your numbers actually grow. People are one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite movies is The American President. It is so like The American President, one of my favorite movies from the 90s. And Michael J. Fox is the chief of staff in the movie. And he says in one epic scene that people are so desperate for truth that they will walk through the desert and drink the sand. Right? And that is what has happened in our media landscape, that people were so desperate for something, right, that they looked at these outlets like MSNBC and CNN and they thought that they had arrived at an oasis, but it was a mirage. And we were left after this election with a mouthful of sand. So if we are to ever be able to reimagine America following its fall, because this empire is in fact falling, if we are to ever reimagine America, then we have got to create a narrative and the infrastructure for that narrative not only to exist, but to thrive and to grow and to expand with trusted voices that put integrity and truth above everything else. So Mehdi, to me, absolutely hit the nail on the head here. A little bit of breaking news. I'm going to wrap soon and we're going to go into the town hall. But a little bit of breaking news that you may have seen before we came on air.
Have some good news to report from the Middle East. I just spoke with the Prime Minister of Israel and Lebanon. I'm pleased to announce that their governments have accepted the United States proposal to end the devastating conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. I want to thank President Macron of France for his partnership in reaching this moment. For nearly 14 months, a deadly conflict raged across the border that separates Israel and Lebanon. A conflict that began the day after the October 7 attack by Hamas on Israel. Hours later, at 2 a.m. in the morning, Hezbollah and other terrorist organizations backed by Iran attacked Israel in support of Hamas. Let's be clear, Israel did not launch this war. The Lebanese people did not seek that war either, nor did the United States.
So you will see that beginning at 4 a.m. Tomorrow morning is when this ceasefire will begin between Israel and Lebanon. And what was a mixed bag to me is I had hoped that this was going to be the end of war in Israel that Israel has been waging in general, but it is not. And so this was a strategic political move by Biden, um, so that Donald Trump would not be able to take credit for this. But my God, what we are in for when Donald Trump takes office is going to be wild. And so when I listened to this, on one hand, I was like, great, wonderful. For the people of Lebanon who have not done anything, but neither have the people of Gaza. And yet I hear nothing about where their reprieve is ever going to come after well over 50,000 men, women, and children have been killed because of Biden and continuing to provide our tax dollars to an insane murderer who is Netanyahu. So mixed bag here, but breaking news nonetheless. And I want to end today with this piece. Vice President Kamala Harris gave a talk to thank her grassroots supporters. And it's the first time that she has been in public messaging since her concession. And I couldn't tell you how happy I was to see her face, because it had occurred to me that I don't understand why she must go away. Donald Trump never went away. That's why Donald Trump is back in the White House. So this kind of norm for the former candidate or president to just skulk off into their private lives, I think is bullshit. And I don't think that she should. I think that she should continue to be outspoken, mobilizing, and talking to people and deciding how she is going to see out the rest of her political career, because in my humble opinion, she was just getting started.
So strongly believe the light of America's promise will burn bright as long as we never give up and we keep fighting. And the fight that fueled our campaign, a fight for freedom and opportunity, that did not end on November 5th. A fight for the dignity of all people, that did not end on November 5th. A fight for the future, a future in which all people receive the promise of America? No. A fight that is about a fight for the ideals of our nation, the ideals that reflect the promise of America, that fight's not over. So look, we still have a lot to fight for, okay? A future where every American can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the right to make decisions about their own body, not their government telling them what to do. Our fight for the rule of law, for freedom for all, for equal justice, for the sacred principle that everyone, no matter where they start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be upheld. That's not over. That fight's still in us, and it burns strong. And I know this is an uncertain time. I'm clear-eyed about that. I know you're clear-eyed about it. And it feels heavy. And I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you.
That to me is a word. And frankly, I don't want to see Kamala Harris go away and just emerge in 2 years, right? Because we are in a new world order where the political norms no longer matter. And what we need in this moment where we are feeling helpless and hopeless, where those of us that believed in the promise of America now are questioning whether or not we will ever see it, or if generations following us will ever see it. We need a voice and we need continued leadership and guidance, not for her to sit back and other people with platforms and voices just to sit back and let Donald Trump do his fucking worst. That's not what this moment is calling for. So, as Politico has reported, that Kamala Harris is instructing her advisors and allies to keep her political options open. And this includes another run for president in 2028 or a run for governor of California in 2 years. She says, quote, "I am staying in the fight." And for me, I say, hell yeah, stay in the fight, because I don't know who is telling you to sit down. You did not fail America. America failed you. And with more runway and more opportunities to engage and to talk, we can get to the other place. You can begin, right, to fortify a coalition, to build a pipeline. And that doesn't happen by skulking away, right, into some personal life while you hand the keys over to a fucking dictator. So for me, I was so appreciative to see her. And the question that I leave all of you with today is, what will the new resistance look like? What do you believe? What do you will think will be born out of this moment? Because as I continue to say, there are opportunities that live inside of every obstacle. We just have to find it and find the will to find it. All right, folks, it is time for Town Hall Tuesday. Get your questions ready, put them in the chat. And if you are watching this after the fact, dear friends, put your questions in the comment section and I will do my best to get to them. Let's get ready for Town Hall Tuesday. All right. First question. Thank you, Doug. Is there any hope for a reversal of our political fortunes before January 20th? No, there is not. I wish that this was, maybe a Shonda Rhimes television series that would have a fixer come in and tell us that the election was actually stolen, that there was interference, that this was all a nightmare. And we would have the opportunity to have the woman that I just played, Vice President Kamala Harris, as the future leader of this country. But unfortunately, no. America has made its bed, and now all of us must lie in it. This is a good question. What will we build? I know a place where we can carry on. Bob Marley, love that. What will we build is going to be up to us. Like I continue to say, if Donald Trump was actually necessary for the destruction of incremental change, of complacency. If people need to not only lose their lives, but lose their livelihoods in order for us to recognize that our participation, our full throated, full chest participation in our democracy is necessary, then maybe that will be what rises from the ashes. But what we build in this moment is going to be up to us. But what I don't want to do is continue to spend our time constantly reacting to Donald Trump, because when we live in a reactive place, we're not in an imagining place, right? We're not in a creative place, which is what I believe this moment is calling for. At Danielle Moodie, can the Senate fire all of those Supreme Court justices who have made poor decisions or who have had conflict of interest, who lied about their position on Roe v. Wade? Unfortunately, no. Those are lifetime appointments. And come January, we will no longer have the Senate. There should have been multiple investigations with the Senate judiciary into Clarence Thomas, into Alito, that we know were taking money from their sugar daddies, right? That we know were making decisions, not what was best for the American people, but what they were given money for. But are we going to see any of those things happen with a Republican Senate and a Republican House? Absolutely not. Democrats missed the boat on this. And no, they wouldn't have been able to fire them, but they absolutely, oh, that's right. And what's his face? Merrick Garland could have opened up an investigation as soon as the ProPublica stories on Clarence Thomas and Alito came out. But once again, that spineless, useless sloth of a man did absolutely nothing. Danielle, what is MAGA going to do about the Second Amendment? They use it as an excuse to protect themselves against tyranny, but will they do that now that they are tyranny? Repeal it? No, they're not going to repeal the Second Amendment. They're going to use it to their fullest capacity. I'm more concerned with, I will say this, Ernie, I'm more concerned with Donald Trump being able to deputize his little militia groups, right? Once he goes ahead and pardons all those January 6 folks, right? Those Proud Boys and things like that. I'm more concerned with him being able to deputize those people and have them, quote unquote, work alongside law enforcement and the military in order to carry out his deportation. That to me is what I'm concerned about, because those people, right, like the Kyle Rittenhouses of the world, you remember Kyle Rittenhouse showed up with a AR-15, killed and one protester maimed another at the Black Lives Matter protest, and he got off, right? I'm more concerned with what happens, right, when these people are emboldened to do more damage and are completely backed by this president. Will the rich cast away ever join forces against Trump? And if so, will they succeed? That I do not know. That I do not know an answer to that question. Can you interview Jasmine Crockett? I have interviewed Jasmine Crockett. You can check out my interview that I have done with her on The New Abnormal. I think it was last year, but if you put in The New Abnormal, Jasmine Crockett, you can absolutely hear an interview that I've done with her, but I would like to interview her again in the new year. She is wonderful. I adore her a lot, and she's very, very, very smart. Can Biden, as president, take full advantage of the Supreme Court ruling now? What would that look like? Of course, Biden could take full control, full advantage of the Supreme Court ruling now. Biden could do a whole host of things. Biden could stop the war in Gaza. Biden could, produce an executive order that would do a whole to protect trans people. There are lots of things that Biden could do now with immunity, but he's not going to. He's not even going to pardon his own son, I don't think. If he does, I will be shocked. I will be absolutely shocked. Biden is a man of a bygone era, and he knows that that Supreme Court decision that was made was absolutely wrong. But is he ever going to use it to his advantage, to our advantage, to democracy's advantage? He could have done that beginning back in July, and he made no moves whatsoever. So do I think that he's going to do that in his last 2 months? No, he just pardoned Turkey. That's as far as he's going to seem to go these days. Okay. I'm scrolling. Thank you so much. Scrolling. Question. Danielle, do you think the Pelosi's, Schumer's, and oldies of the Dem leaderboard will ever pass the baton? They seem almost resistant to let go of power as Republicans are. I wholeheartedly agree. And no, I think it's one of those, what is it? What was it? Charles Heston, whatever one, take this gun from my cold dead hand. That is how I feel the Democrat leadership feels about their power. People don't give up power. It's intoxicating, right? Even when they don't utilize it in the best ways anymore, they don't give it up. So, I think that they're going to need to be pushed out. Like, I think that people like us are going to have to stop listening to them, right? And anoint our new leaders, because they have proven time and time again that they can't meet the moment. Now, here's what I'll say. In Donald Trump's first term, when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, she took him to task, right? You remember all the memes of her like ripping up papers and walking out of the White House and doing the most because she was in power. And she did, because she knew that he was an idiot, right? But we are not, we're not in that time anymore, right? We're not in that space. There is no upper hand that Democrats have. They've ceded everything. So for me, it's like, tick, tick, pass the baton, get out of the way. But I don't think that they will do it on their own, unfortunately. No. Why should Sotomayor resign? No, absolutely not. So Donald Trump can appoint yet another Republican, this time that is like 40 years old? No. But we will probably see the retirement of a Clarence Thomas and an Alito, and Donald Trump will be able to put in somebody who will be there for fucking decades, decades upon decades, who are young. Because again, Leonard Leo, right? Federalist Society had an entire project, entire infrastructure built on the redoing of our judicial system. Again, I've asked Democrats on a number of occasions, where is our Federalist Society? What does our infrastructure look like to build up a judiciary that will advance, right, civil rights and civil liberties? No one has an answer for that. And we still have not done it. Do you think that taking a page from the Trump and MAGA playbook, will help Kamala? If you mean by taking a page like not going away, yes, I actually do think that that will help her. I think that people are going to be desperate for leadership and desperate for sanity. And so I think that if she decided, I'm not actually going to go anywhere, I am going to talk to world leaders, I am going to continue to have conversations, I am going to be present on these shows, I'm going to start my own show, whatever it is, right? That I think that if she continues to be present, it can only help her. Looking for questions. Yep. He should have. Garland should have had, well, he wasn't AG then, but he should have had him arrested as soon as he was the attorney general. This question, Garland should have had Trump arrested January 7th. Yep, sure should have. Nope. There's nothing that he can do, right? Because any executive order. So here's the question. Is there anything Biden can do to put up any guardrails up before January 20th? I mean, again, these are things that should have been done and should have been considered, not in the last gasps of his administration, but when he came into the job in January of 2021, right? Like, that's the problem, is that Democrats, Joe Biden, all thought, woof, we dodged a bullet here. They didn't reelect Donald Trump. So now we can, quote unquote, get back to normal instead of figuring out how to never let a Donald Trump happen again. So we had years, right? You had 4 years of Donald Trump and 4 years of Joe Biden, 8 fucking years to figure out what kind of guardrails were needed, right? What kind of fall safes were needed, right? In each of these agencies in this space, and nobody did anything. Nobody did anything. Just rested on the fact that, oh, the institutions will hold. If by holding you mean with dental floss and a piece of fucking gum, then sure. I mean, here's a question. Why did 55% of white women betray us and vote for Trump? Why did 160,000 white women go to the white women for Harris and then stop going? If I had the answer to that question, I would be a millionaire. This is my response to that. White women will largely, and I don't need a whole not this white woman in the comment sections, because if I'm not talking about y'all, I'm talking about your sisters and your cousins and, your mother-in-laws and your grandmothers. There are half of white women that will always vote alongside the patriarchy, that will vote alongside their white husbands and their white boyfriends, and believing that their proximity to male power will protect them. That's why they vote that way. And so this is not a change, a switch that can happen in just a handful of days in a campaign. This is deeply ingrained misogyny, right? Like, this is deeply ingrained, because I said, how in 2016 do you have a fellow white woman, smart, capable, sharp, running for president, and you all don't see yourself in that woman? I could never understand. Black women voted 92% for Kamala Harris. 92%. White women for Hillary Clinton, I think, was at less than 50. So that tells you a lot. A lot. Question. Shouldn't the military generals who spoke out with warnings about the dangers of a second DJT presidency talk with Democrats in Congress and the Senate about an emergency contingency plan just in case? Let me say, just saying, that time has passed. Because yes, 100%, I absolutely agree. What is the contingency plan? We all love to believe, again, because of Hollywood and movies and television shows, that there was some shadow operation. Biden was going to save us. Barack Obama was working in the wings. No, they were not. So I don't know what a contingency plan looks like when they're going to go in there with Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense and fire all the quote unquote woke generals and put in all of their sycophants. So what does that look like? That fall safe, that just in case break in case of emergency, we're there. They didn't put anything into operation, at least anything that we see. Do you think it was strategically smart for Schumer to bargain away those appellate seats in order to fill other judicial openings? I mean, at this point, I don't know. like what I would have liked to see, and I mean, he has continued to push forward as many judicial appointments as possible. But like, this whole trading that is done, I don't think that it benefits us. Again, I think it gets us into a place of incremental change. Like, I would have liked to see from day one the Senate not doing anything other than, right? We're flooding the zone with all of our federal judges. We're filling all of these appointments. We're putting them in the most important places because, in the event a Donald Trump becomes president again, in the event, right, that states' rights all of a sudden don't matter if it's a blue state, that we would have backup. But again, failure of imagination, dear friends. Frankly, no. And I don't think because one, he can't be added. Can Jack Smith be added to the Supreme Court before January 20th, 2025? No, because we have done nothing to work to expand the courts, and that would take an act of Congress, all of these things. And on top of that, do we want Jack Smith on the Supreme Court? I don't think that I do. Right? Like, the Supreme Court is a whole other conversation for another day. Because this Supreme Court, as we know it in our lifetime, is gone. Is gone. It is MAGA-fied, and it ain't coming back. And funny enough, I think that they fuck around and took away their own power by giving Donald Trump full-on immunity. Like, what's your job here? I don't know. I guess to pick up a check. A nice question. I love this. Thank you, Roxanne. What are you going to be doing for the holidays? What is your favorite food at this time of year? What am I going to be doing for the holidays? I'm spending it with my family. I will be heading out tomorrow to go and be with my family. I do a lot of the cooking. I do not cook the turkey. That is my mother's job. But I will be making macaroni and cheese, which is my favorite food of this time of the year. Macaroni and cheese, a sauteed kale with smoked turkey, Brussels sprouts with bacon. I'm doing a couple of side dishes. Oh, and I'm baking 2 apple pies. So I'm doing the most. Thank you for a lighthearted question. I'm going to take 2 more, and then we'll close out today. So this is a very good question. How can we highlight Stacey Abrams for DNC chair? I don't think she wants the job. This is what I have heard. I don't think that she wants the job. I think that she would be extraordinary given all of the work that she put in turning Georgia blue twice. But I don't think that she wants the job. And I think that, you have to understand that meeting up against these democratic forces that do not really want change, like, we need reform. Do you know what I'm saying? These are people that like patchwork projects, right? They like patch jobs. We need to rip the house down and gut out the foundation. And I think that she would have a lot of people in her way, and wouldn't be able to be as effective as she wants to be because, again, we know that Black women are judged harder than anyone else. And so I honestly, I don't think that she wants the job. All right, looking for the last question. These are really good questions today, guys. I will say, I mean, you normally have very good question. I'll take this one. When will our food and water crash? I mean, here's the thing. Buy water and, get some provisions, because if he's talking about putting tariffs in on day one, a lot of our produce comes from Mexico. I'm pretty sure those things are going to fall by the wayside. And then the water, if what's his face, Cuckoo, RFK Jr. becomes the head of HHS, yeah, bottled water it's going to be because he doesn't believe in fluoride. And so crazy. Folks, thank you so very much. Today's town hall was fantastic. The questions were incredible. Please do, as always, like and subscribe, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm. It gets this show in people's feeds and For You pages. And we are trucking along to 9,000 subscribers in record time. So I am just so very, very, very grateful for each and every one of you that has liked and subscribed to this show. Share it with your friends, with your family. You'll be at Thanksgiving. You know, good luck with those conversations. Have hard conversations. It's good for us, right? And lastly, to the folks who sent in donations, who continue to support with your resources, I appreciate you so, so very much. Supporting independent media, it goes a long way. $1, $5, $20, $50. It goes a long way in helping me do the work that I do. As I say, I do this because I love it, because I think that people deserve the truth and conversation, but I do not get paid for this. So your donations help sustain. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you all so very much. Just a reminder, I am back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. We will do our call to action on Wednesday because Thursday is Thanksgiving, and I will not be doing a live show on Thursday. So I'm back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll do our call to action that normally happens on Thursdays. We'll do that tomorrow. And then we will be back on Friday, Waj and I, for Democracy-ish, 12 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all so much. Appreciate the moderators for doing such an extraordinary job in the chat. Thank you all so, so very, very much. As always, power to the people, and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, please stay safe. See you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Bye.